Three. Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? Big Porky here, the voice of hardcore boxing. Today I'm joined by Harry Matthews. But before we introduce you to Harry, if you're not a member, click down below the white box that says join, and then you get full access to your Porky fix. All right? For members only part of the channel. Right, how are you doing, Harry?
Very well, thanks. Yeah.
All right. You've had an interesting, intriguing career. 16 wins, 47 losses, 3 draws. I'm not going to beat about the bush. What would you class yourself as? A prospect, or were you a journeyman?
Well, I started off as a prospect at 9-0.
Yeah, you were 9-0. Yeah.
I was 9-0, and then obviously until about sort of my 25th, 30th fight, I was still a prospect because I'm still selling tickets and I was still trying to chase myself to get in line for a central area title or another English title. And I just, like a lot of my big fights I had, I took on away turf, and I've probably got about 25 losses, which should have been wins, to be honest. But their fights that I ended up having on the road. And then I guess sort of in the end, I got sick of selling the tickets because obviously, for people who don't know, when you're a home fighter, it's the responsibility of the home fighter to sell. You've got to sell your opponent's purse. You've got to sell enough to cover your, promoter's fee. And then you've got to be selling extra tickets so that you get what you want. So if I want $2,000, I've got to sell about $5,000 worth of tickets so that everyone gets paid and I do all right. And then you think you're out of your $2,000, you're then paying you 25%. You've got to be selling a lot of tickets in this game to be able to come out of a nice wage and win. Or what you do is you stay in the gym, you stay fit as you can, you take your chances, you take the fights when they're offered. Like say you get the big sky fights or whatever against opponents who are undefeated, high knockout percentage, but you go in there, you challenge yourself, but you're guaranteed good money. So that's what I started doing. I started to become not a journeyman, but try to be a dangerman. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's nights where I got in the ring and I thought, right, I'm just going to just, have a little look at this guy for a bit. And then when I thought, right, okay, I've seen a few vulnerabilities in him, I can then try and expose them. That's probably what a clever sort of journeyman, sort of dangerman would do. Because don't get me wrong, I knew in every fight, no matter how good it was, I thought, if I hit him with one of these, I know I'm going to hurt him and I know I'm going to do all right. So that's why I was always happy to take my chances, because a lot of journeymen, they don't really train, they just turn up from fight to fight. Whereas me, I'd be putting in camps for each fight and I would be giving it 100%. And some nights I won, some nights I lost. Some nights I walked out the ring having lost, but I knew that I had won. There's many occasions I could touch on. And there were some good kids that I fought where I knew I beat them and they had beat me and they knew as well. And some of these kids that I boxed that I lost very narrowly to, gone on to sort of win British titles or area titles, things like that. So, I've got a lot of, good memories, and I wouldn't say they're bad memories. It's just an experience. It's just boxing for you. Boxing is, good and bad sometimes. So.
Yeah, you've been in with Nick Blackwell, Luke Blackledge, Jamie Cox, Anthony Fitzgerald, Liam Cameron, Tommy Tommy Lancer.
You talk about Nick Blackwell. Actually, I was having a chat. I was chatting to Nick Blackwell the other day. We've been keeping in contact because obviously I do a bit of filming now, and I'm sort of writing a feature version of my film Boxer. And I just said, would you like to get involved, even just a bit of extra work or something like that, just to get him involved. And we got chatting about a few things, and I just said, does Chris Eubank Jr., does he keep in contact with you? Because obviously he's a person that kind of give you brain damage. He says, no, I don't hear from him or anything. And I felt a bit crap for him. I thought because you see the relationship that Chris Eubank Senior has with Michael Watson, and you would expect his son to be a little bit like that, but yeah, like I said, I boxed Chris as well. And that was another good night. He didn't beat him on points, but I gave a good account of myself. And that's kind of like the fight what people remember before, the boy who pushed Eubank Jr. on his his 5th, 6th pro fight. So that was a good memory. That was.
Yeah, he won his 4th fight, wasn't it?
Was it his 4th? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Luke Blackledge, was that a good fight?
I beat him, and he knows I beat him. Yeah, and he came in about £7 overweight.
And you never got a decision.
I never got the decision. It was 4 rounds, but I'm quite happy with the way I boxed on that fight, to be honest.
All right. Jamie Cox.
Jamie Cox, big puncher. Knew I was in with class. Took that fight at 3 days' notice. Got offered a, career best sort of payday for that one. But it was just it was a good experience. Even though I got stopped in the second round. First round I went out there, thought I didn't do too bad, and then he just caught me with this looping right hook, and I just thought I'm not going to win tonight. This is going to be a tough night if I get up and I attempted to get up and go the distance, but referee stopped it. So just one of them. But
Anthony Fitzgerald.
Anthony Fitzgerald, another one, I believe. It should have been a draw, if not a win.
For you, yeah.
For me, yeah.
Liam Cameron, my pal.
Liam Cameron, very skillful kid. We had a couple of fights actually, both 6-rounders. He was a good kid, quite hard to hit. Luckily, it wasn't too much of a tough fight. It was more of a very technical boxing match. That was. It's a shame to see that he's not managed to fulfil his potential. To be honest, I feel a bit sorry for him. So,
what do you think about Liam's 4-year drug ban for cocaine?
I think it's a bit harsh, to be honest. I think 12-month ban, yeah, but a 4-year drug ban for cocaine. I mean, there's boxers that get caught with worse, isn't there? What about all these, boxers getting caught on steroids and what have you? they're only getting like 2-year bans.
6 months, 6-month bans, some of them.
A 6-month ban. I don't know why they would try and make an example out of someone like him. I don't know what they were getting from it, but it's a shame to see what's happened, because obviously that's really going to affect his mental health, and obviously mental health's massive in this game. Do you know what I mean? The boxers finish this game and they're just a shadow of himself. They've not fulfilled the potential, or they've had it taken away from them. So yeah, I feel sorry for Liam. I hope he's well.
Yeah, he's trying to get a comeback going. He's appealing it, and he's been back.
How old is he now? How old is he now?
I think he's about 29 and nearly 30.
Is he?
I think he is, yeah.
Right, okay.
Tommy Langford.
Yeah, another good kid. Went the distance of him. He went on to win British title. We had quite a good fight. I wasn't sure whether he would be British champion when I boxed him, kind of thing. But yeah, he was a good kid, very skillful, very sharp.
David Brophy.
David Brophy. That was one where we was a floater, and we was told 1 minute was told was on at 7, then 8, then 10, then after the show we didn't box each other until they were bloody sweeping up. And I remember seeing each on sideline like that. We sort of ended up making quite good pals, and I was thinking, maybe it might just be a bit of a sparring match. I was getting a bit tired, thinking, I hope it's not a tough fight. And he fucking ran out, and he went boom, and he stuck one right on me, and I could feel it in my boots. And after that was it, right? 6 rounds, toe to toe. Well, it's a shame we can't find that fight. It was a really good fight. And he was a strong kid. He went on to win the Commonwealth title. So yeah, it was good. Another nice kid in boxing. I liked him.
Were he trained by Billy Nelson?
He was, yeah.
Yeah. Andrew Robinson, he's a tough kid, isn't he?
Yeah, but it was tough. But again, that was another one where I thought I'd done enough to win it. We're only 4 rounds, but it was just a very close fight. I'm happy to say he's gone on to do really well. So yeah, all the best to
him. Kieran Conway.
I got asked to stand in for someone who dropped out. I got about 3 notice to box him, and it ended up being a war, that fight. It was a good fight, very very skillful lad, and he's going on to do really well. So yeah, it was a good 4 rounds. It was very long, very sharp kid. It was a tough night in the office.
Who's had the most power that you've been in with?
It's got to be Jamie Cox.
Jamie Cox.
Jamie Cox, he was just a different level. You know, he was a tricky southpaw. The way he stepped across, the way he sort of set up his shots. You know, it was good. Oh, I'll tell you another. Not the most powerful, but probably one of the best kids I've been in with was that Cody Davies. I boxed him on the undercard to Josh Warrington. He was a very, very good lad. Nice kid as well. Welsh from Wales. Just really sort of sharp combinations to the point when I was sort of when he was doing them, I was looking. I like that. I'll practice that one.
Best jab.
Probably him.
Yeah.
Probably him. Yeah, but it sort of it come from all angles. It was a real sort of good, sharp, snappy jab.
Right. Who's been best guy that you've sparred?
Best guy that I've sparred. I remember sparring Billy Joe Saunders and George Groves once at England camp years ago. Mike Bromley took us down there from St Paul's. I remember Billy Joe Saunders just being really, really technical, and I remember George Groves hitting me with a shot to the body. I remember thinking, bloody hell, you know, this kid's going to go far. But yeah, do you know what? I've had that many fights with different people. I've met some, you know. I tell you who was really good, and he's an up and comer now. He's one that actually stopped me in second round. He's called Jermaine Brown, and he's about to fight a guy called Paddy Patrick. No, is it Paddy McDonough? What's his name?
Peter McDonough.
Padraig McCrory is going to fight. Yeah. Jermaine Brown is called, and that is going to be a cracker because both can punch. I reckon Brown has probably got the edge in power. It's an MTK show. It's in March this month, I think. So,
all right.
Yeah, that'll be a really good fight.
What do you think about boxing as a whole at the moment? Do you think it's going down the WWE route?
Not really. No, I mean boxing is real, isn't it? You know, you're getting in the ring, and you know these guys are you know hitting each other for real, and there is real rivalry there. It's not boxing. It's not WWE. You know, it's boxing, and it's you know at the end of the day though they you know they rely on entertaining you know people, and it is sports entertainment as well, isn't it? You know, because you've got to have the marketing side, and you know the characters and the boxers have got to be interesting to sort of draw the people in. So you know, there's always got to be cover that angle.
Do you feel people like Chisora, who's had 10 losses, shouldn't be in pay-for-view fights?
Not necessarily, because Chisora, you always know what you're going to get with him. You always know he's going to come forward, you know, and he's going to give everything, and it's always going to be a war. You know, I always, you know, enjoy watching Chisora. I mean, I think he did really. Who was it he fought last time? What was his name? Usyk, yeah. So I think he gave Usyk a really good account of himself, and I think it was a really good fight. Should it have been pay-per-view? Maybe not, but yeah, I do like. I mean, I do think Chisora's got a few more good fights left in him, and I think is he working with Dave Caldwell
now? No.
Who's he working with now? Is it Tony Sims?
I'm not sure who Del Boy's working with because there seems.
I know that every time he comes back, I know that he always has made a few improvements, and I think it all depends which Del Boy turns up on the night. If Del Boy turns up and he's really up for it, then you know you can get a good fight. But there's other fights, you know, every fighter can have off nights. So yeah.
All right. What do you think about Fury Joshua?
Well, it's the fight that everybody wants to see, and it's going to be, you know, it is the super fight of this era. You know, I do see it being a good fight. I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as what people think when it comes to Fury boxing. I think that Joshua has shown that he can adapt. You know, like when he boxed Ruiz last time, he. You know, obviously he was a bit complacent in the first fight. Thought he could just, you know, box his head off and didn't have to do much. And you know, Ruiz looked quite, you know, easy to tackle from the get-go, but then he just came back and he showed that he had quite a lot of hand speed. He was like, he's a class fighter, is Ruiz. But then obviously this time Ruiz, came back thinking that he had the beating of Joshua, with just walking forward and throwing bombs. And Joshua all of a sudden, had leaned up and showed that he had some brilliant footwork and brilliant boxing ability. And I just think that Joshua will give a better account of himself than what people think against Fury. I think it could be a very close fight. It could go either way. If Joshua lands on Fury, could be lights out. But if Fury uses that boxing ability like he has used in his last few fights, then obviously it could be a tough night for Joshua as well. But I think Joshua's had a lot of fights where he's learned a lot in the last couple of years, and he's really taken it on board, and he's worked on himself. And I think it's, I think he's always. I've always really liked Joshua, because I think he's always been able to show that he can adapt, and that's what a good fighter is. A good fighter is a fighter that can go back to the drawing board and can adapt and can come up with a different plan. So,
yeah. What do you think about judging in the UK at the moment?
I think sometimes the judges, they do, like, they're just very unpredictable. I've seen some really bad decisions in recent times. I mean, who was it who boxed? What was his name? There was a bad decision a bit ago. Kiko Martinez. Who did he box? What was his name?
The foreign guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, Kiko Martinez was the away opponent, but did he? I can't remember who boxed.
Pat Barrett's nephew.
He did. Yeah.
Zelfa Barrett.
That was him, Zelfa Barrett, mate. So Kiko Martinez come in. He won that fight by about 3 rounds. And they had Pat Barrett lads, Zelfa Barrett winning wide, and I don't know how they come to that decision. That Robbie is it Robbie Davies Jr. as well. He boxed a kid from was it Spain, I think. And this kid only won by 1 round, but the kid should have won by about 8 rounds. You know what I mean? It was there's been some stinkers at the minute. I mean, I understand that the home side have to keep winning to be able to sell the tickets. But I mean, I think, I think it's been very good recently in these behind closed door shows, because there's been a lot more 50-50 fights. There's been a lot more upsets. And just because home fighters are getting beat, like, for instance, Josh Warrington, don't mean that they're going to stop attracting fans. Fans want to see him get beat sometimes and then come back and see how they adapt. When you get a show and you can just, you just see journey on one side and you see winning fighters on the other side, and you just see all green W's after the show and all losses. It's a boring show. It's like MMA. A lot of their fighters on there, they have a lot of sort of 50-50 records, and a lot of them are class fighters. Yeah. People want to see upsets in boxing, because that's what attracts people, because they want to see how people come back.
Yeah.
I'll be really interested now to see how Josh Warrington comes back from that defeat. I think he can come back from that defeat. But I think the 16 months out won't have done him any favours whatsoever. And then having to get back down to the weight, because I think if you're regularly coming down to your weight category, it's not as much of a shock for your body. It wasn't for me when I was fighting on the road. But I think if you have a lot of time out and then you try and get yourself back down to that weight again, your body just don't want to do it as easy. And I think you can feel a bit it can affect your performance.
All right. What are you doing with yourself now?
So I'm personal training. That obviously is gone a bit slow at the minute because of the lockdown and what have you. But luckily I've been sort of qualifying for the grants and things like that. But it's been tough for all personal trainers really. But I've been, for the last couple of years, I've been getting into acting. So I've been doing a lot of acting classes. I've been participating in a few short films, a few adverts. Been doing a bit of modelling as well. Because luckily, I got out of boxing 66 fights pretty much unscathed. So I didn't do too bad. So yeah, I've been like I said, we made a film called Boxer a couple of years ago. Actually not a couple of years ago. It was last year at the beginning of the lockdown. We made a short film called Boxer. We got it on Vimeo. Which went quite well. So we're now writing like a feature version of that. It's basically just going to, expose the amount of corruption that goes on in boxing, and what certain professional boxers have to go through to be able to fund themselves through the careers. And it's about a boxer and his redemption, really. So it's going to be good. I'm not going to say too much because the storyboard keeps changing. But when it's finally done and ready to go, I think people will be really happy with it. So
can you just turn your volume down a bit on your speak? Is that better?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, is that better?
Well, no, not really. Like, it's worse when I've done it. It's a brand new computer and all in audio.
Yeah, sorry, bud.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. Very clear and very well.
Yeah.
And I wish you all.
Yeah, cheers. Like I say, I think boxing needs its crowds back. That's what it's all about. It's about that spectacle and that atmosphere. And I think the boxing without the atmosphere, it's just not the same at the minute. So fingers crossed, we're out of this lockdown by sort of back in the summer, I hope.
Right, have you got any? Are you on Twitter?
I'm not on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. Either Harry Matthews Official or Harry Matthews Pro Boxer. You can add me on Facebook, but I've nearly reached my maximum friend limit on there. So just add me on Instagram.
All right then.
I think I'm going to set Twitter up at some point. Seems to be. You're
not missing now.
No,
I'm not on Twitter.
You're not.
No, it's full of football.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, mate, the less social media I do, the better. So
it takes too much time up of your life, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
All right then. Listen. Thanks for coming on, Harry, gentlemen.
All right, take care of yourself.
See you, mate. Bye.
Cheers, mate.